Zaporizhzhia's deadly gray zone. Is this the war's tipping point? Is the battle for Zaporizhzhia about to change the course of the entire Ukraine conflict? What if everything you thought you knew about this war is about to be turned upside down? This is the question on everyone's lips as the fog of war thickens over Ukraine's embattled Zaporizhzhia region. Far more than a simple front line, Zaporizhzhia now stands at the heart of a strategic game poised to reshape the future of this brutal, protracted conflict. At stake is not only territory, but the fate of a critical nuclear power plant and the fragile balance of power in Eastern Europe. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the tension unprecedented. For months, Zaporizhzhia has simmered with intense fighting, but recent weeks have seen a sharp acceleration in violence and territorial shifts. Russian forces have pressed deeper into Ukrainian-held lands, overrunning 3 settlements guided by the cover of dense fog and relentless artillery barrages. These advances are not isolated skirmishes. They form a calculated campaign to secure vital supply routes and fracture Ukraine's southern defenses. The fog draped over fields and forests conceals fierce, grueling battles. Ukrainian soldiers locked in desperate defense face increasingly sophisticated and brutal assaults from Russian Spetsnaz special forces and elite drone operators. The Russian military push here is part of a broader strategy, one that stretches across Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, and Kharkiv regions to steadily expand control over eastern Ukraine's critical infrastructure and territory. Yet, as with many military campaigns, the gains come at a cost. Russia's advance has not been a march of easy victories. Fierce Ukrainian resistance has slowed some offensives and inflicted significant casualties. The battlefield has morphed into a grisly gray zone, a no-man's land where control is fluid and front lines shift unpredictably from day to day. This murky battlefield is less a place and more a symbol of the uncertainty looming over the entire conflict. Why is Zaporizhzhia so crucial? It is not just another patch of territory. It hosts Europe's largest nuclear power plant, a site whose capture or damage would reverberate far beyond military considerations. Control of this golden key will give Moscow undeniable leverage, not only by threatening catastrophic nuclear risks, but by securing large swaths of southern Ukraine, effectively dividing the country and crippling Ukraine's ability to resupply and reinforce its eastern fronts. As Russian forces surge forward, Ukrainian commanders have publicly acknowledged the immense pressure on their lines, especially in the besieged city of Pokrovsk nearby. This city has become a hotbed of conflict, where half of the frontline clashes occur amid fierce fighting. The strained ripple effects extend far beyond Zaporizhzhia, touching cities like Kupiansk and Lyman, where renewed combat threatens to stretch Ukraine's already taxed military resources. Behind the headlines and battlefield maps lies a deeper human story. Villages and towns that once thrived stand scarred by shelling and fear. Civilians face evacuations and uncertainty over their futures. Families torn apart, entire communities caught between the ambitions of aggressive forces and desperate defenses. Each showing on the front line writes a new chapter in the saga of resilience and tragedy. The Russian military's multi-front offensive is an attempt to stretch Ukrainian defenses thin across nearly 1,250 kilometers of battlefield. Such wide-ranging pressure aims to overwhelm Ukrainian troops and force territorial concessions. But it also reveals Moscow's logistical challenges. Maintaining supply lines, casualty evacuations, and equipment repairs in such a vast and fiercely contested zone strains the offensive's momentum. Meanwhile, Ukraine fights back not just with boots on the ground, but with strategic drone strikes deep inside Russian-controlled territory. High-value targets, such as the Stavro and chemical plant in Budianovsk, critical for Russian military manufacturing, have come under fire, signaling Kyiv's intent to disrupt Moscow's war machine beyond the immediate battlefield. As winter approaches, the conditions for combat grow even harsher. The dense fog that helped Russian forces infiltrate new positions also cloaks the front lines in an eerie uncertainty. Each day brings new reports of advances and retreats, of hopes dashed and regained. The gray zone shifts with the ebb and flow of control, leaving observers and combatants alike in suspense, over what the next sunrise will reveal. The international community watches intently, aware that Zaporizhzhia's outcome might shape diplomatic and military calculations far beyond the region. New sanctions targeting Russia's oil sector add economic pressure on Moscow, while calls for a ceasefire remain trapped in stagnation. Ukrainian political struggles at home add another layer of complexity, potentially distracting from the battlefield's urgent demands. Could this gray zone become the tipping point the war needs? Will Russia's momentum here force Ukraine into concessions? Or will staunch resistance and international support hold the line? The fate of millions depends on the answer, yet the story remains unwritten. Zaporizhzhia's battlefront is a living testament to the unpredictable and brutal nature of modern conflict. It merges ancient strategic imperatives with cutting-edge warfare technology, human sacrifice, and geopolitical chess. In this gray zone, the shadows of doubt and desire intersect, crafting a narrative filled with danger, hope, and immense consequence. As we watch the unfolding drama, we are reminded wars are not only about battles won or lost, but about the fragile balance between power and perseverance. The echoes from Zaporizhzhia will resonate for years, shaping the legacy of this conflict and the future of Ukraine. What happens next could redefine the map of Europe. The eyes of the world are fixed on Zaporizhzhia not just as a battlefield, but as a symbol of endurance, risk, and the relentless quest for survival. Stay tuned. The story is far from over,